All right, everybody. You know what? I love history. I do. History. I fucking love history. But recently I heard this history story before, and I'm like, oh my god, why haven't I ever heard this story? Like, like if you learn history, you should fucking learn this story because this is like one. Like if this story actually happened, then this is like one of the most epic badass moments in human history, right? So this is the story that I heard. This is in the Egyptian times, and there's this big war going on between Egypt and like other places and stuff. Egypt's trying to control Mesopotamian trade routes and stuff, whatever. So there's these long periods of war, right? And but this army decided to revolt. This Egyptian army decided to revolt, you know. And instead of like attacking the state apparatus and trying to conquer and kill and take over, what they started doing is they started walking north, right, which is our south, right? Their north was our south, so they started heading into Africa. Um, they started going along the Nile River up to its source, right? And so they're rebelling, but they're just walking out. This is big Egyptian army, and they're just leaving. And the state's just like flabbergasted. They're just like, what do we do? Because they're not being attacked to be overthrown and killed. This big asset to them is now just leaving. So they get like on the doorstep of Egypt, and like all these Egyptian ambassadors from the state come up to them, and they're like, "Hey, why are you guys leaving? Like, what do you want? Like, let's work together. Love, like, come on, what's going on?" And the Egyptian soldiers said, "Hey, we're just fucking sick of it. You know, we're sick of all your bullshit. We're sick of all your lies. We're sick of this shit. We're leaving." And he's like, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And they're like, well, and they held up their weapons, right? According to this story, they held up their weapons in one hand, and they said, "We have these," right? And then they all grabbed their groins, right? They grabbed their groins and they said, "And we have these," And so we'll be fine. You don't worry about us. You do you, we'll do us. We'll be fine. We have these and we have these. And they just walked out, right? And like you can see it in the historical and archaeological record, because in the modern day Sudan, there's a lot of, and Ethiopia, I think, but there's a lot of Egyptian cultural fusion with the area, right? Um, not just from this episode, but from many other episodes in history, right, between the two peoples and regions. But man, no, that is, I think, just like if that story is true, that this is I like when I learned it, like the person was presenting it as if it was actual Egyptian history that happened. And if this is actual Egyptian history that's happened, that's just like fucking a badass moment in human history.